All right. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to another awesome episode of Geek Vibes Live interview. I'm your host, Tia, and I have with me a very exciting guest, Jesse Kove from Cobra Kai Season 3, possibly one of my favorite TV shows of all time. How are you doing?
Wow, that's amazing to hear. Thank you. I'm doing great. So glad to be here with you. That's so awesome.
It's one of those things that I didn't watch it when it was on YouTube, right? But I kept hearing people say, it's so good, it's so good, it's better than it has any right to be, is the quotations they'd say. And when the first two seasons got on Netflix, I'm like, let me finally check it out. And I was just like obsessed. So I was very excited when season three came out. How has the reaction been on your end for like how season three has gone?
Well, by the way, thank you so much for those kind words. I mean, it really is such an easily addictive show. I find myself being addicted to it at the same time, even though I'm on the show. Uh, and the outreach has been incredible. I mean, the fans are unbelievable. You know, they're like it's like a Marvel crossover. It's incredible. You know, I've had such support and love from the fans, and they just were so excited about what we did in season three. So I'm so grateful. I just feel so humbled by all the love that's come my way.
And before I hit record, I actually complimented your jacket there. I'd love if you could tell everyone, who gave that to you. How'd you get that awesome jacket there?
So I haven't worn this before, but this is actually a jacket that they sent to the cast and some of the crew for Cobra Kai season three. So it's actually reversible, and on the inside is the Miyagi Do. If you wanted to wear
Oh.
the Miyagi Do, you can reverse it. So this was a Netflix jacket. It got chilly out here, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna grab this and throw it on. It's kind of perfect.
It is perfect. So Jesse, you are the son of Martin Kove, who possibly plays one of the best bad guys on television. He's certainly been doing that in this Cobra Kai run, but what was it like for you growing up having your dad be a Karate Kid? I mean, did you enjoy Karate Kid growing up?
I did. I did enjoy Karate Kid. Thank you. I mean, yeah, he plays a badass, and he does it pretty well. People love to hate him, and in the best way possible. But yeah, I grew up watching it, and it's when I was younger, I used to be like, "Oh, what is he doing?" And then I kind of realized, okay, he's an actor, and then this is what he does. And it's funny over the years, people asking, "Oh, is your dad really just like mean like that in real life?" I'm like, no, he's a big teddy bear. He loves to be in nature, and he loves his rose garden.
I love that. Yeah, no, I mean, you always have to separate the actor from the project. And I've heard great things about Martin, so that's awesome to hear. Um, did
Thank
you
you.
ever get inspired to start learning karate, or were you kind of just like, that's dad's thing?
Right. I mean, I played sports so much growing up, so it was definitely an aspect that I enjoyed. I'm a very competitive person. It's like a blessing and a curse at the same time. And I did karate when I was younger, and then as I got older, I got into a little bit of mixed martial arts, and then obviously doing stunt work from different movies that I've done. So it's been, and I enjoy it, and I love doing it. It's so much fun. Even when we did some of the fight sequences on Cobra Kai, they show me what they wanted to do, and then I felt pretty comfortable. And I'm also someone I really like to get in there. I'm not afraid to, like, get my hands dirty, as they would say. If I get a couple scrapes and bruises, like, it's just part of what it is. If I can make it as real as possible, I will. And so it was it was a nice transition into that. So I definitely did some martial arts growing up, and my dad obviously did a lot of martial arts throughout his career. He does know different styles of martial arts, and he has used them in many different movies.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. So in season three, you play the captain varsity. I believe it's credited as David, is what I read on IMDb. First of all,
Yeah, Varsity Captain David.
right, and I love how it transformed back into, say, like this 1950 diner and everything. And it was a cool transition because at first we thought that you were playing, John Kreese, because now realizing how much you look like him because you're his son, I was like, and then you realize, no, you're kind of this bully character to John Kreese's younger self. But I wanted to ask, I mean, how was it filming that scene, kind of being transported back into the 50s and all that? I mean, what was that like for you?
Sorry, I muted you. There's a helicopter over here. It was so fun. I actually, as an actor, I enjoy doing like period piece stuff. I love playing characters that are not from present time. There's just something about it that I can really like sink my teeth into and portray. The clothes are different, you talk differently, you walk differently, the food is different. It's just very immersive. So when we were jumping back into 1965, I felt very comfortable going into those shoes. And it was a real treat. It was really, really fun. And, they, it was a very big day on the set. I mean, they had all these 60s cars, it's one of the biggest days they've had. And even the big three, John, Josh, and Hayden, the creators of the show, they were telling me that they've never done like a period scene before. Before doing like, Hot Tub Time Machine, which was in the 80s, and obviously, some Cobra Kai stuff, but they've never gone back this far. And they shot it in a way that was very cinematic. And so it was very much like a movie that day. And so it was very special, and everybody on set was very excited. And it was like a magical experience. My dad was there, and they had me obviously these 1960s college jock clothes, which was so fun to wear and made me feel more the character. I had on these like, I remember I was fighting, I had these like little brown loafers on. I asked, is this pretty much what these guys would wear back then? They're like, yeah, it's to the time. So that was fun. And then obviously, it's an Easter egg in there too. But the car that I drove was the original Ford that Miyagi had given Daniel in the original Karate Kid movie, which was, I mean, really special. I mean, they didn't tell me that until the day of, that I was going to be driving that car. And it was a very special treat. I did a great Instagram video that I posted inside the car, just being like, wow, is this really happening? This is such a surreal experience. And I just felt very lucky. And I was also just really grateful for everything that was going on. I took in that moment, like, okay, this is real, I'm doing this. Then obviously, like, I wanted to do well. But yeah, the set was very excited that they knew that they had all heard that my Martin Kove's son was going to play this role, and they just thought that was great. And the writers were so excited. And when I auditioned for it, they didn't tell me much about it, so I really worked my ass off to try and book this. And it turned out the audition went great. My dad and I joke about if I had bombed the audition, how horrible and embarrassing that would have been. Right. But it worked out fine. And yeah, it was just so much. It was really fun to do all that.
You had this scene where, as you said, there's a fight scene outside. How many takes did it take to do that scene, and what was the preparation that went into it?
For which one?
For the scene where you're outside in the back of the diner, kind of beating up
Oh
on
yeah,
John
yeah.
Kreese.
So that was obviously more intricate than the diner stuff, which went really well and smoothly. It was like thunderstorming that day, and it was literally like 90 degrees, and it was humid.
God.
And I was wearing this jacket, and it was really hot, and I had to fight in it. And like, I literally stood by the air conditioning units they had, like literally on my face, to stay cool and not ruin my makeup. And we also had to like stop production for several hours that day because it was raining and thunderstorming. You wouldn't be able to tell when we shot it, but we did. So it was kind of rushed towards the end, and we really wanted to get everything. And it was very much like this dance. We had rehearsed all these fight sequences. I had worked with Hiro Koda, who's a stunt coordinator, who was incredible, and he's nominated this year for a SAG award, which is just so fantastic. And working with them was so smooth, and it was just fun. It was like, when you're in those moments, even with Barrett, who plays young Kreese, we had to just kind of remember, like, okay, we're anticipating what's coming next, and then Ken Bearfield, who plays my friend, in the sequence with me. He was beating up Kreese as well. He's actually another one of the stunt coordinators in the show.
Oh.
So it was fun for him to be in it. And it was just, there was a lot going on that day. They had 3 cameras rolling. We were fighting the weather, and that was a lot. That was a bit more stressful than the diner sequence. And it was also just so fun. I mean, I was beating up my dad, as a young man, and it was just, I mean, how crazy is that? And then he was on set that day watching, and he literally like had his camera out and he was videoing everything. And the writers were like, "Marty, get out of the shot! Like, get out of the shot! Can't be in the shot; it'll ruin everything."
He's a proud
Uh,
dad,
he was just as excited, and it was like, I don't know what he was thinking, watching me beat himself up, as a young man. It was really, really interesting. And all those times he grounded me when I was younger, all that came out in the show, which was great. Um, but it was just a surreal experience. It felt like this like Back to the Future vibe, back in time. I mean, how often does that really get to happen? Especially in a movie like Karate Kid, which was so prominent in the '80s, and then they're able to go back in time now and dig up more of the past. I mean, it was incredible. It's just incredible, and that's why I've gotten so many messages, like hundreds of messages from people around the world talking about how much this scene meant to them because it explains so much, and now they kind of can vilify my dad in certain ways and justify his actions. So it's been a wild ride.
I will say I never expected to get these background scenes of John Kreese because he is such, say, the villain. And then season 3 comes along and you get more of this explanation as to why he is the way he is. And I thought that they were just perfect because even the bad guys have reasons why they're the bad guys. So I did absolutely love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I think people sometimes forget, like, as much as we love to hate the bad guys, they are human to some extent, and they have a past as well, right? Like somewhere along the way, they were hurt, or they were just like, kind of like they explored with Joaquin Phoenix and the Joker, like he was just this average guy, and then he got, obviously it turned the way it turned out, but everybody's got a past, and maybe you can save them in some capacity. And so I think it's just great they even just showed that and explored that. It just enriches the whole storyline and the character. So now when you see him, you're kind of like, oh, is he really that bad? That guy, David really, really messed him up when he was younger.
Yeah, if anything, David's the real villain here.
Yeah, right. And then what's my past? I don't know. Maybe they'll explore that in a spinoff if they end up doing it, which I've heard them talk about. But it would, again, that was something else too. I had to kind of figure out, like, why does my character feel so intimidated by this guy who's, I think is like a dweeb, or and there's something in my character that feels the need to have to do that. Maybe he is intimidated by Kreese in some way, and maybe they have had battles before, or have stared each other down, things like that. So we'll see.
I was going to ask, I mean, so you're playing this character that's in the 1960s. I apologize. Before I said 50s, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. So in the
No, it's
60s,
fine.
has there been any talk of maybe bringing you in for, say, a different character that's more in the present day for Cobra Kai?
I mean, if I did know, I wouldn't be able to say anything.
Right.
But it would be great if they did bring it back. It'd be a lot of fun. I have a blast on that show, and I love the writers, John, Josh, and Hayden. They're great guys. They've become friends, and they love this show so much. They literally, they're basically big fans of the Karate Kid universe themselves, so they know what the fans want, and they know how to pepper in characters here and there, and when to bring new ones in. I mean, these guys are true artists. So whatever's up their sleeve, I won't be surprised.
They're doing such a phenomenal job. As someone who, I'll admit, didn't watch The Karate Kid growing up. I watched it after I watched Cobra Kai, but it's just such a phenomenal show. I mean, why do you think that people just love Karate Kid in this world so much and it resonates so much with them?
Great question, and I agree. I mean, I think it has to do, one, that the movies took place in the '80s, and the subject matter deals with bullying, which is something that is generational, that never goes away. Unfortunately, I think everybody's dealt with bullying in one way or another. Whether it's the '80s, the '90s, now, or the 1920s, or 1800s, whatever. Bullying's been around forever. And I think that aspect of it, so that movie and that storyline resonates with everyone, no matter how old you are. And everybody's in high school at some point. And then to be able to bring the same characters back 30 years later, which is crazy and unheard of to do that, and then make a TV series out of it, and then continue to explore those characters and show that maybe those old wounds don't heal quite yet, is really remarkable. And then, so you have the other generation that grew up with it in the 80s, and then you have the younger generation that are watching it now for the first time. So it's kind of like this great amalgamation of the young and the old, not old, but like, just like the parents watching it now when they were in the 80s growing up, and they get to watch it with their kids and share that. And I think that's a really special thing that they're able to do that with their kids. Plus, I've said this before in other interviews, that one of the great things about Cobra Kai is there's no crazy visual effects, there's no special effects, there's no guns, there's no explosions, there's no monsters. It's literally just kids learning karate and beating the hell out of each other.
And I think that's one of the things when I used to listen to, say, other podcasts, and they would say things like, quote, like literally I've heard people say this, oh, it's better than it is supposed, like it should be. And I think they mean in that aspect that there is no crazy visual effects. It's just like this story, and that's all you need is a fantastic story.
Yeah, it's these great characters that people love, all these dynamic, amazing characters, Robbie and Tori and Miguel and Hawk and my dad and Johnny and Daniel. They're just, and then Miyagi, Mr. Miyagi, of course. It's just like this really these characters that are so enriched and involved, and they're so interesting to watch that you come back every 30 minutes to watch another episode.
Now, I know that you probably can't say anything if you do know. There's been a lot of speculation with season 4. A lot of people are guesstimating that, Terry Silver could come back and all that. I mean,
who's Terry Silver?
So I was just wondering, like, do you know anything about season 4 that you can kind of let us in on, or are you probably, if you do know, you probably have to remain very close-lipped about it.
I know everything and I can't say anything, but I will say that it's just that the fans they're in for a real treat.
That's awesome. I can't wait for us to see it. Jesse, I want to also give a platform for your projects that you're working on right now. Obviously, with the pandemic going on, it's super crazy and people had to be really careful about what they do. But have you been working on anything? Is there anything else that we should be looking forward to of yours?
Yeah, so I've been really lucky. I'm so grateful. I've been really lucky during the pandemic. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, I've done several movies. I just had a Christmas movie that came out on Lifetime that was fun over the holidays, which was a real treat. Had a thriller that I did called Bring Me a Dream that came out. My dad actually had a fun little cameo on that, which was great. Another movie with Kevin Smith, which is an action, gaming, science fiction comedy, which is so funny. It's kind of like Ready Player One. That also just came out a few months ago, which is a really, really fun movie called Max Reload and the Nether Blasters. It's such a trip. That would be so much fun. I'm going off to start another movie in about a month. So, it's been and then I have a couple other projects, one with my dad that we're working on, and then, some other ones I can't really talk too much about, but some really, really great stuff in the works. And, I have been working a lot lately, which has been a blessing, and it's been interesting to balance it all with COVID because, it's just a different world making movies during COVID, and TV shows as well. And, there's so much to take care of and balance out and, do it safely. So, at the end of the day, to me, it just proves that, people love making movies and television, and that no matter what's going on in the world, they will not stop to create these stories because, Cobra Kai never dies.
I love you putting that in there. That's amazing. Before I let you go, obviously we're Geek Fives Nation. We're very geeky here. And you did mention
I love it. I am a nerd, by the way. I don't, I don't know if they still, categorize nerds as whatever they look like in the TVs, but I am a nerd. I'm 6'3", and I bench 200 pounds. I am a total nerd. I literally have a Harry Potter wand on my wall. I've got a Captain America shield on my wall. I've got a huge Cobra Kai plaque on my wall. I've got all kinds of stuff. I am just as love all that pop culture stuff just as much as you do.
I really quick, that's really funny because I always laugh when say like Johnny Lawrence calls people nerds, and I'm like, I get probably back in the 80s, but now like geeks and everything are really at a high. I mean, that's what's popular. And
Elon Musk is a geek.
I
Pretty damn great.
exactly. I was gonna ask, I mean, if you had the opportunity to be, say, in a Marvel movie or a DC movie, I mean, who would you ideally love to play?
People have always told me, which is funny. I actually auditioned for the original Captain America that Chris Evans got.
Oh,
I
did
auditioned for
you?
that role. I did. I love Captain America. I think that would be an awesome role to play. I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like I'd embody that role pretty well. It would be just such an honor if I got that, or something fun and new. I don't know, something great, maybe something a little darker, more. I love playing, villains as well. And so anything that comes. But I love action movies. I love Marvel stuff. It's such a blast. I would love to play anything. But if Captain America were to come along, I would jump at the opportunity, and I would give him hell just like David did in Cobra Kai.
That's amazing. Well, it would be amazing. I love anyone just being in the comic book realm, especially when they are so passionate about it. And hey, the MCU is not stopping. It has years and years to come. So who knows what opportunity may arise. But Jesse, this has been absolutely fantastic speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. As you said, Cobra Kai never dies. I cannot wait for season 4. And if you haven't watched season 3, you need to get on it. But
Now, like right now.
right this second. But thank you so much, Jesse. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thanks to you.